The String Project, established in 1988 by Karen and Tim Summerville, is an orchestral string instrument shop in Palatine, Illinois. The shop focuses on the sale, repair, and making of quality violins, violas, cellos, and string basses. In addition, the String Project carries an array of bows and accessories, as well as renting out instruments to students such as yourselves. Karen Summerville is the president of the company, as well as being a violin and viola teacher. Tim Summerville, her husband, is the resident violin maker. My name is Shaina. I am Tim and Karen's daughter, and today I will be guiding you through a visit with Tim in the String Project's workshop, where he both makes his own instruments and performs repairs on many others.
Hi, I'm Tim Summerville. I'm the violin maker here at the String Project.
One question that is frequently asked is, how long does it take to make a violin? Let's ask Tim.
From raw wood to ready to play usually takes about 200 hours.
That seems like a lot of time, doesn't it? When you learn more about how instruments are made, it's actually not surprising.
The only power tools I have that get used at any point would be a bandsaw and a drill press. The bandsaw is used only to cut the basic outline of the instrument out of the piece of wood. Otherwise, everything else is done by hand.
Making an instrument is very delicate work, and power tools do not allow for that delicacy. Let's find out more about the tools that are used instead.
Well, I use a variety of hand tools, usually several different gouges, chisels, knife for various carvings, and then some files and rasps. Like with this violin, the work that I was just finishing up, which was completing some of the edge work here, I was actually using each of these 4 gouges at some point, and then my files to help round over the edges. Of the tools that I use most often, a knife and this small hand plane, known as a block plane, is one that gets the most use. And then there's other planes and tools that, depending on what part of the process I'm in.
Let's take a few minutes to discuss the making of a violin, starting with the selection of the wood. To make a violin, you can't pick just any piece of wood. Instruments are made of multiple types of wood, each with a different role to play.
Well, traditionally violins are a spruce top, which that's the piece of spruce that we would start with a maple back and sides. And it's a piece of maple that's, in fact, is similar to what was used on this violin. Then the neck would then also be maple, and it starts off with a piece like this. On violas and cellos, the back usually can be other woods, like poplar or willow.
Do you know what purfling is? Next time you look at an instrument, pay attention to the edges of the instrument's front and back. See that black outline? That is the purfling. That requires yet another material.
And then the purfling inlays ranges from being like a maple or poplar for the white center, and usually either a dyed wood that's been dyed black for the black strips, or using ebony. I usually make my own purfling, where I've taken pear wood and dyed it black and use it for the black strips, and then a piece of maple for the center.
After the wood is selected, it must be joined together and shaped. The ribs, or sides, are shaped and added to the form. Then the work can begin on the top and back. This part takes a lot of refining. Then, the F holes are laid out and cut on the front of the instrument. After more shaping of the wood, the bass bars fit into the inside of the instrument. The body can then be fit together. Then it's time to make the neck and scroll. Once that is complete, the fingerboard is attached to the neck, and then the neck is added to the instrument. All that's left is to varnish the instrument, or to add color to it. Now, has Tim always known he wanted to be a violin maker?
Oh, no. Prior to getting into violin making, I worked as a civil engineer.
That seems like quite the career change, doesn't it? What inspired that?
I met my wife in college. She was a violinist and a violist, studying viola performance and music education. Through my time being around her, my interest in violin making started coming up. I'd always had an interest in making things, whether it be little wood projects or whatever. And so then it reached a point where if I went to violin making school, I would provide additional skills needed to help with the family violin business.
Violin making school was a crucial step in Tim's education. Let's find out more about what that entails.
I went to the Chicago School of Violin Making. It's one of the 3 most important schools in the U.S. As part of that school, I made 5 violins, a viola, and a cello. We also had to study the history of violins, as well as taking drawing classes where we made technical drawings of violins. I also had to take violin lessons, participate in ensemble, and perform a recital at graduation.
What advice would you give to students who may want to become violin makers themselves in the future?
I would say if you're playing an instrument now, continue playing. Learning how the instrument responds to your playing helps in terms of setting up an instrument, or can help you with those decisions you need to make along the way while making the instrument. It's difficult to do those not having any playing skills. You have no basis of reference. Otherwise, keep up with the science classes, because the science brain helps in analyzing the types of things that you need along the way.
There are 3 violin making schools in the United States. The Chicago School of Violin Making, located in Skokie, Illinois, the North Bennett Street School in Boston, Massachusetts, and the Violin Making School of America in Salt Lake City, Utah. Each of these trade schools provide students with 3 years of education in the making and repair of violins. We'd also like to take a moment to highlight Karen Summerville, the owner of the String Project, who was not able to appear with us today. Karen attended Murray State University in Kentucky, where she received bachelor's degrees in both violin and viola performance, as well as music education. She followed this up with a master's in music education. She played in symphonies in Nashville, Tennessee, Owensboro, Kentucky, and Paducah, Kentucky. When she and Tim moved back to her hometown of Rolling Meadows, Illinois, Karen directed the Palatine Youth Symphony, in addition to opening the String Project and continuing her private teaching.